Welcome back to another episode of Ribs Real Estate and Rambling. We're here at Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue in College Station, right off the bypass. I'm telling you, you got to come by and grab some barbecue. Today I am here with, she's such a goofball. This is Ag Kathlene Messina. We're my dear friend, and I've known her from back in the days when she was interning at TexAgs. I got to work with her as a colleague. And now she's all grown up and doing grown-up things, I suppose. But this is a kind of a very important episode. This is the first one where I've ever had a guest use a booster seat. So, optical illusion, she's not exactly taller than me.
I've always wanted to be taller than Roy, and so because I do also work with the production team, I got my wishes. So his hair cannot get any taller, so I win today.
The higher the hair, the closer to God.
Amen, baby.
That's what I say. So I want to start off, and I mentioned it just a second ago, TexAgs. And so you get a job interning at TexAgs, correct? Mm-hmm. And how does that come about? And then what did that really do for you? Not necessarily just the job itself, but as far as, one, making the connections, and two, you know, when you're a college student, you're interning in a professional setting, I would feel like it kind of helps you grow up, mm-hmm. right? Like I mean, I'd say you're around adults, but I mean, brawny, and so adults, kinda. Yeah. But yeah, no, you're around professionals at their job, and just kind of how that took you maybe to a next level start to, you know, it's the lessons you learn in college that are outside of the classroom.
Yeah. So as far as the actual hiring,
this is so weird.
I know. I've never actually had a conversation with you where it wasn't like this, so it is odd. But so yeah, my experience with TexAgs was super unique because I was hired during COVID, and I was the only intern hired during COVID. Their process for hiring interns is usually incredibly thorough from what I understand. I did not go through that, but just connections.
So that's how you got to squeak through?
I honestly did, kind of. I mean, I always wanted to pursue sports broadcasting and journalism. I was the staff director for the Montgomery High School baseball program, so I had this huge passion for sports, specifically baseball. And I kind of ended up getting that job, and it was just a weird time because we didn't have sports, so there honestly wasn't a ton for me to do. I remember emailing people like Bronny, like, can I just come watch you work and maybe I'll learn something? And doing a lot of that. So it was really weird because it put me in this position of, you know, is this what you really want to do? Because I saw sports in the hardest time. And so, yes, as far as professional development and just growing up, I kind of realized, you know, I'm watching these guys who, you know, we kind of joke, it's like, how grown up are they? But they're really the smartest grown-ups out there because they found a job where they're always having fun and they have leniency in their schedule. And so, you know, I saw them really loving what they were doing, even at the hardest time, and seeing some of the hardest parts of not only sports media, but media itself during that dark time for the whole world. I just realized that that wasn't going to be the industry for me forever, and so it kind of opened the conversation about, you know, what do I want to do with the degree I have. I was pursuing Ag Common Journalism with an emphasis in marketing, and from there I realized that sports broadcasting was not going to be it, and I really did not know if I wanted to continue with broadcasting, so I turned to the writing and the marketing side of it, and that's how I actually stumbled upon real estate. And as soon as I actually got started, I realized, man, I'm living the life that I saw those guys at TexAgs living, where they really love their job and they have a lot of leniency, and they're really not working because they're just having so much fun.
Well, and to be perfectly clear, she put it a lot better than I did. I know for a fact they're all professionals at TexAgs. They just, they do have the opportunity to honestly love what they do. And when you love what you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God. But it's I mean, it's so true.
It's true.
That was the most fun office I have ever been in. When people were there, I mean, like I said, it was COVID. Right. We were being very, very strict, very safe. I'd never met Billy until much after I stopped working there because, again, COVID. So it was like everything was virtual, but I still loving going in there and, you know, seeing everybody.
Well, yeah, and what's fascinating is, you know, you've got TexAgs as a an internet platform, and then you obviously have the TexAgs radio. But to be able to kind of be in it, and I've been fortunate enough to be on the fan show and just get to know those guys too. See the inner workings and really the back of the house kind of work that goes into it. I think is fascinating, and it's such a massive production that I don't think people fully wrap their heads around. People probably just think flip the switch, talk, and that's a radio show. But there's just so much more work that's done outside of the hours of the show. To make it as successful as they are, because they're incredibly successful.
Well, and so much of it is on the fly. I mean, those people who were doing production when I was there, we'd be on commercial break and they're trying to edit the last segment to just immediately post and get everything going. And now that I do work in, real estate where marketing is a huge thing, but also a job in marketing for a marketing firm, turnaround time is crazy for both of those industries and moving fast. And so to see them take a 3-hour chunk of film, audio, and be able to get it onto that many platforms that fast, I mean, it's just impressive.
Yeah, no, they're workhorses back there.
Yeah.
So you did talk about real estate. You were with Sotheby's,
yes.
Correct?
So I'm with Martha Turner Sotheby's specifically.
Martha Turner Sotheby's, because I think when people hear Sotheby's, the first thing they think of is the auction house.
Yes.
So you're not an auctioneer,
No.
unfortunately. Well, I mean, you're from Montgomery. I feel like you can be an auctioneer.
I can talk pretty damn fast, but not that fast.
Maybe not so much. So I got to really know you as a colleague working in real estate, and we were both wet behind the ears, new to it, right?
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, you were the leasing specialist.
I was the leasing specialist.
We're gonna say specialist because that's a nice professional layer out there.
I'm the leasing survivor.
That's probably a better way to put it. So I want to talk a little bit about, because everybody thinks about real estate agents. We go out, we put signs in yards, we sell houses, or we go take people and we show them houses and we write contracts. The leasing side of real estate is it's just such a grind. Because you think about, these commissions that you make on these big houses, sell a $500,000 house, it's a nice commission check, but leases are small, you don't make much. So in order to kind of exist financially, you've really got to crank out leases. So I know you were always grinding. What about the misery of being like the leasing whipping girl? That's well, it's true.
It was rough for a time.
But what about that rough kind of patch or just kind of time where you were learning and cutting your teeth and just cranking out leases? What's the biggest thing that you can now attribute directly to your success as an agent that obviously does more than just leases? Kind of a well-rounded realtor.
So I always kind of say that my job, in all actuality, if you broke it down to two things, is fear management and contract negotiation. Because yes, sure. But I mean, buying and selling a home is scary, and kind of how I always chum it up. I mean, like I said, my degree's in journalism. I am a writer, and I kind of think of things in that more emotional tense. But I mean, your life is a story, and when you have to open a new chapter, that's freaking terrifying. And so, a lot of what I do is just. There's obviously the actual tasks that we're trained to do as far as understanding, whether or not a home's going to be in good condition, understanding comps and things of that sort. But
the
technical side of it, yeah. But as far as dealing with people, not necessarily dealing with them in a negative sense, but just holding their hand and really supporting them and being that expert in the field to carry them through a very scary, very expensive process. Is very difficult. And so I was super grateful that working in leasing in a college town, you have the ability to grind. I mean, there are so many people always looking for a lease. From January to April, I was working with all the students. And
it's not just a college town though. You're talking about Texas A&M, is one of the largest enrollments in the nation. So it's not just college kids, it's all of the college kids. So many college kids.
So many of them. And I mean, I had so many unique opportunities getting to work A&M football player. I mean, just different cool things. But at the end of the day, everyone had the same fears and questions. And so it made me learn how to present myself as an expert in the field from a very young age, early into, not only my degree at A&M, but into my professional full-time career. But, just gave me experience for how to work with parents, work with the students, answer a ton of questions, do the 1,500 showings a day it took to get it done. And really instill that attitude of let's grind and it's going to be okay and we're going to figure it out and we're going to do it together. Because now, again, trying very hard to always be avoiding leases if possible. Working with buyers doing farm and ranch and large property sales, listing homes for sale. People who are kind of looking at downsizing, going into retirement is also a lot of what I've been focused on throughout the summer. So, selling their homes, finding them something that's going to fit them for long-term periods of time. You're looking at a lot bigger fears and also bigger price tags at that point, because a ranch ain't cheap, new construction isn't cheap, and neither is making a decision that you might live in for 30 or 40 years for the rest of your life.
And that's where you see the difference in, the objections that you got to work through.
Yes.
There's a little bit of buy-in for somebody that's leasing an apartment.
Yeah.
Right, and I get it. It's going to be 12 months of your life that you're going to be living in this place, and there's certain things you're going to take into consideration. But buying a home is just completely different.
It is.
It's possible that this home that you're about to buy may be the last home you ever buy.
Yeah.
So, and not only that in a morbid sense, it's because you love it so much, and this is where you want to live the rest of your life. And so much more. There's so much more emotional attachment. When it comes to buying, and so those objections, while they aren't kind of the same, they're just amplified. And they're really almost amplified when you think about the price level. Just the price ratio is pretty much how it amplifies.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I want to tie it back to, is that ultimately doing so many leases with so many people who, they're 19 years old. I also was, but I had gone and done all this education to know what I was doing and have the licensure and the expertise to be able to handle those situations. Now, when I have someone looking to buy their retirement home and they voice those same objections almost every single time, getting to calm them down feels like nothing, because living in the stress of a leasing season in Aggieland versus working with, a handful of clients at one time, it's like nothing. I'm I'm never stressed out anymore. I'm we got this, we'll figure it out. So I think it really helped me with that side of the job a lot, was the stress management of both myself and my clients.
I feel like she could be speaking Mandarin right now and I wouldn't hear it because I'm still having a problem with this height differential. Just saying.
You gotta get it.
I don't know.
I even wore heels to try and make our picture look half decent, and then we go to take the picture and it's, he's way up there. We do our best.
So you're all nice and polished. You dress to about the 8.5s to 9s. Just about the 9s is I figure formal.
This is usually not how he sees me. We're hanging out watching Aggie sports, and I'm in basketball.
Or having our kind of once every couple week breakfast at IHOP, which we do not dress up for.
I do not look good until noon.
So you're a Montgomery girl.
I'm a Montgomery girl.
And that's probably closer to the accent than opposed to the bit more we get polished. I've lost my Texas accent over time.
Yeah.
So I did a little dive into your Instagram, and you you have two separate ones. And one,
I do.
Yeah, and so one obviously more professional, kind of the professional approach between both the consulting and marketing, and then also obviously your real estate business, right? So I looked at the other one.
I would like to disclose that there's only been one photo posted on that account for the last 2 years. So what you're looking at really is young, college.
It seemed like enough content.
I'm interested to know what's on there.
No,
we're going to have to do a review of myself, an audit, if you will, after this.
Do a social media scrub.
Yeah.
So I looked through, and there's two pictures that caught my eye, because the rest of them are just you being a very, very basic white girl. Yeah, no, it is what it is.
I knew I was going to get destroyed. I don't know how I agreed to this.
But you've got one picture of you holding up a kill, and then you've got one picture of you sitting in some snow. I'm guessing it's Colorado, with some skis. So the hunting I get, Montgomery, Texas hunters. Love farm, love the ranch. There's not a lot of snow skiing in Montgomery. So where did you enjoying the snow come from?
So. Great question. Actually, so growing up in Montgomery, obviously Lake Conroe is in Montgomery County. I grew up closer to the Willis side most of my childhood.
Is the Willis side the snow skiing side of Lake Conroe?
No. That's the side closer to the lake. But I grew up water skiing, wakeboarding. My nickname from my grandfather as a kid was XK, Extreme Kathleen, because I was always in the ER, having had some issue on a four-wheeler, on skis, trying to figure out how to build something, jump off of something. I was tomboy to a T. And so, just generally liking extreme sports, we would always go to New Mexico, go to Red River when I was a really little kid, and they taught me to ski there. My mom's favorite story about that is that I was terrified. She held me between her knees and basically pushed me down the mountain. I got a very 80s upbringing, if you will. And then after that, I had not figured out how to stop, but I figured out how to...
After that, she was immediately challenged into his downhill skiing competition. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, if you were raised in an 80s style, then we got to go with the 80s movies.
No, but that was basically it. Like the whole learning, teaching your children to turn thing, nada. I would get on the bunny slope, I would go straight down, I would eat it, put my skis back on, go do it again. And I fell in love with skiing in Red River, New Mexico. And so then the trip.
New Mexico was the trip.
It was, but then things got bigger, and then it became Colorado, and again, like I was just a daredevil, and I so look forward to that time. Any chance we got to go be in snow, I realized I loved it a lot more than water, because believe it or not, snow hurts a lot less than water, even if you roll farther. I've had some pretty serious injuries in the water, so I fell in love with snow skiing, and just every chance I got to take it to the next level, and let's go up to the bowl, and let's try this black, and you know what, I'm gonna learn to do moguls. I just really ate it up, and so now it's one of my favorite trips of the year. I actually just got back. We went on a KCS consulting. I mean, it was a ski trip, but at the same time, we were meeting all these snowboarders and different people who had snowboarding brands on the mountain, and skiing behind them with cameras while they're doing jumps over our head and stuff. And my founder actually brought her little sister, and so we took her down her first black together, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, because I remember being that little girl that was just like, I can throw a helmet on and get after it with the boys. So yeah, skiing on the water, on the land, holds a near and dear place. I like going out there and getting after it. It's fun. I like doing fun stuff.
I feel like you got to be one of the easiest people to throw off of a tube behind a boat.
Oh yeah. Do you see my upper body strength? Like where? It doesn't. I don't even know if I have a bicep.
We're gonna have to try that sometime.
Let's not. If you are not driving, if you let Miss Megan May, my good friend, if you let her drive,
No.
then I'll do it.
No.
She'll still hurt
I gotta
me.
have you drive.
She'll still put the hurt on me, but I might live to see the boat again.
That's fair. Okay, so we talked about. Yeah, please, by all means. So we've talked about obviously real estate. You're leasing. Talked a little bit about your time in Montgomery.
Yes.
And especially we talk about we kind of talked about that grind that you went through it, and how it just kind of teaches you to kind of be a grinding kind of professional, right?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of grind. It's not leasing, but it's still a grind, right?
Oh, for sure.
And so you're talking about your professional. You've got really two jobs between the marketing company, the KC, and then obviously with Martha Turner Sotheby's. Your dog Wyatt.
Mr. Wyatt.
Your man. I don't know if he wants his name put out there. So.
Oh, we can. Just for fun.
But
That's awesome.
taking these trips, but having to work and having to grind, and really when you're younger, and I don't say this in the sense that I'm some old man. I'm just older than I used to be. But being able to find that work-life balance.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about two jobs and a ton of stuff going on. Where do you find, what do you find probably the most important thing to tell yourself or to do for yourself, maybe on a daily or weekly basis, to where you're making sure that you maintain that balance?
Yeah. So, as far as what I tell myself, Dawson and I, we were friends for as long as we have been together before we ever got together. So at the end of the day, that's my best friend, that's my buddy, and so we kind of always go back to it's not that serious.
Don't let Wyatt hear that.
Yeah, okay, well he's my favorite dog buddy. It's a little different. If I try comparing the two, they both get very upset, so can't do that. But no, so the thing that we kind of always go back to is that it's just not that serious. Like at the end of the day, this could be the last time we hang out. We really do look at every day we live like that and count it a privilege. So in the thick of busyness, I'm reminded that thank God I have so many clients that trust me right now. Or in the thick of the dog's driving me crazy and he wants to go play, I'm like, how cool is it that I'm the person he runs to when he wants to go get some energy out? And so I just try and always be a glass half full kind of girl. And remember to take life minute by minute. Now, there are some things that I try and do to maintain my sanity in the midst of that, because sometimes just the reminders aren't quite enough. I have not been to the gym in quite some time, so I'm not going to let my friends at Golds call me out for this, but I really enjoy working out, whether that is doing weightlifting, or if that's just something outside. Dawson and I are big about being in the yard and just kind of doing stuff, projects around the house. So, just being active is really big for me. It really helps me stay clear and focused. Being outside is really big for me. Even in the winter, I try and be outside minimum 1 hour a day. Whether that's barefoot in the yard, just playing fetch with the dog, or pulling up weeds in, my flower beds, my garden.
Well,
I'm always trying to be outside and be active.
If there's landscaping involved, then I can plan hours for you in my front garden bed. I would thoroughly appreciate that. Look, you get the health aspect out of it. I don't have to worry about pulling weeds. See, that's all.
I'm gonna throw ahead and throw him under the bus, since I knew the whole episode was gonna be him throwing me under the bus. He's already got Dawson recruited to redo his whole back. I don't know what y'all's project are. They're friends outside of myself and his wife, so I have no idea what you have planned for your grill patio, but
We're doing Duke stuff. We're making an outside grill area thing.
we've already been recruited to work on your lawn, sir.
It's completely normal to have your friends do that. You got to pay them in beer and food, and that's how this whole transaction works, really.
Yes, I'm getting paid in barbecue and mac and cheese, so I'm not mad at all. I'm happy to be
probably
doing
just hold
it.
the barbecue, just the mac and cheese, right?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sweet
fair.
tea, mac and cheese, I'm a happy girl.
Okay, so talking about that work-life balance.
Yeah.
And so, you along with Casey, who's behind the camera, is really the mastermind.
Our amazing videographer.
Y'all are kind of my point of contact for this kind of stuff, and I tried to text you before I text Casey, because she's busy and I don't mind bugging you, to be honest. She's actually a professional, has things to do. You, on the other hand, I don't know, I'll just text you, whatever. But
we're gonna need to edit this.
oh no! So I texted you the other day, and I was texting, and then all of a sudden I didn't get I didn't get any response, and it was moderately time sensitive. And then you respond to me and you say, "Sorry, we're out ring shopping," and Dawson takes a little selfie.
I didn't respond to you. I was asked, "Can I respond to Roy while you're looking at this?" And I'm like, "Yes." But yeah.
So tell me about that next step. What, when, where? Although I feel like Montgomery's where.
Interesting, because I saw a tweet the other day and it made me laugh. It was something along the lines of, if you're not in my circle of trust, you're most likely in my triangle of suspicion or my rhombus of doubt. And that is how I feel about my entire life right now, because my mom is lying to me, my sister's lying to me, I know all my best friends are lying to me. He's got them all under this spell right now, and so you have to be pretty type A to work in this industry, and it is eating me alive. But yeah, so Dawson and I have been together for a little over 4 years. We've known each other for nearly 10. Like I said, best friends. I mean, he was going to hang out with my parents in high school when I was at friends' houses, because he's a pilot, my dad's a pilot, and we were an all-girl family, so just like, thank God, some boy energy in this household right now. So,
are you trying to say that Dawson's plotting on you behind the scenes?
I know that Montalongo's hooked me up. Special shout out to Miss Tony. I lived with Kaylee Montalongo as a freshman at A&M, and so we've always gone to them for our ring guards and just everything. And so that was where we were shopping, and I know that Miss Tony has a firm grasp on Dawson and all of his decision making right now. So I know that there's something that is going on in relation to me up there.
There's behind the scenes production, is what you're saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I do know kind of a timeline, because my big rule, Dawson owns a house here, and so we remodeled that house together while we were in college, and that was while I was getting my real estate license. I was kind of looking around every day like, do I really want to do this? But I fell in love with, that kind of work. I always say, if my dream job is to be a contractor. So we did that together, and I told him I'm not moving into this house until there's a ring, so no ring, no roommate. Well, he told me to, make plans to be moved in by August 19th. So by the time this episode is released, I'm going to be in a different stage. But everything in between, no idea what's going on.
That's
I never know where I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to be with, what outfit to wear. Like, at this point, I just get dolled up every day and just prepare.
Girl, same.
Right.
Okay, so I ask every guest this, and I don't know. And so lately I've been kind of striking out. So it turns out the people I know have zero culinary skills. So I don't know if this is I know, shocked, right? You got the president, huge foreign dignitary, coming over to your house, you gotta make ribs. What's your go-to kind of process? And there's no wrong answer, you know, because I know that when we talk about barbecue, people have some things that are like, well, you're just doing it wrong if you do it that way. So what's, like, do you do ribs, and how do you do them if you're gonna do them?
If I am doing ribs, it's usually Granddad, Dawson, Dad.
That's fair.
I am not allowed to get near the pit, but I know, I mean, I'm your first female guest. How many women do you know that are allowed to get near the pit? Like, because we're low and slow, long amount of time, like they sit there and poured over it the whole entire day. So, I mean, that is just not something I was invited to be a part of. But now, sides, desserts.
What's your go-to side that you're gonna bring to a barbecue?
Right. So my go-to side is going to be a mac and cheese. And
Probably should have guessed that.
I'm definitely gonna make an extra pan for us that we're not gonna bring. And I think what I like about that so much is it's one that you serve in one of those good old like tin containers, and it's baked and crispy all up top. And we transitioned the recipe a couple years ago, sacrilege, I know. But started doing like a panko breadcrumb crust. Really love that, but that's still not the star of the show. With my family, the big, like if we are having a family reunion, someone's gonna do a brisket, and what's gonna be the star of the show when my side of the family walks in is my late great grandmother, God rest her soul, Nana's Texas chocolate sheet cake recipe with pecans up top, and oh man. I mean, it comes in a pan like this big, it's about that thick, and it is just fudgy and pecan. I mean, it's the most Texas thing that there is, and it is my favorite substance in all of ever. It's so,
in all of ever.
it is so good, and we try so hard. We're like, please everyone, I mean, but it's a big cake in general, so, you know, if you are anticipating a lot of people and then maybe it's not as big of an event, if you take it home, what our family kind of always laughs at, and I mean, even bringing people into the family, because when Dawson started coming around, he started doing it too and getting caught, is that like later in the day, we'll all just kind of grab a fork and go like, do one of these, and we're like, that's a square, right? And like pick at it, but I mean, it's just addicting. It's so hard to put down. It's very, very good.
That's like my turkey picking addiction. I have
Yeah.
the same problem.
It's just so good.
All right, well, Kat, thank you so much for joining me. You talked a little bit about Lisa's and kind of the grind and Martha Turner's. Before we go, I'm going to give you about 15 to 30 seconds. I want you to look down the camera and let people know what you got going on, whether it's your ring shopping, where you're at, your business, whether it's the consulting, your real estate, anything you might be doing on the side, charity work, whatever it is, fire away. This is your time.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to be your first realtor to even join you on here. It really means a lot.
I thought she was going to thank me about the booster seat comment.
Well, that too. But yeah, I mean, it means a lot. Roy's an amazing guy, a great friend, great mentor to me, so I'm really grateful to be here. I'm also very grateful for the KCS Consulting production team. I'm usually actually back behind the camera helping with audio and working with Casey before she gets all the film ready to edit and put out. So very thankful to get to be a part of this podcast on a lot of different fronts now. But ultimately, just thank you to the Aggieland community for welcoming Martha Turner Sotheby's with such open arms. I mean, truly, it is easy to see from a numbers standpoint and a size standpoint and looking at development why Martha Turner would want to be in this community. But for me, what it really goes back to is what we value. And Aggies value tradition, and you know, Martha was, I mean, she was the face of Houston real estate, and so being the closest of the Texas Triangle cities and really valuing what this community has to offer, we're very, very proud to be in this community, and we're really grateful to be accepted here as well now. So just very, very grateful to all my Aggies out there.
Well, there you have it. So that was KFC with Martha Turner, with Casey. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. She's got her finger in everything. One of the true young budding stars here in Brazos Valley. I'm excited to see her continue to grow professionally and just continue to be my friend. You know, that's the professional thing is great, but I love her to death. So that's kind of it from Cooper's Aggieland here in Bryan College Station. Thank you so much for coming out, and we will see y'all the next time.
Here you go.